Alright, so I've got a full stalk here, and I'm breaking the plant down. I'm going to break this down into a fiber state. So basically the outer bark, or the outer shaft of the plant, is going to separate from the inner strands. This is the same process if you're using bark. A lot of times you can use a stone to abrade the outer strip, or to almost crush it like I'm doing with my hands here. I'm not doing a lot at once here, so this will work. So this is what you're after. Once you get it started, it seems to go fairly decently. Okay, so this is what we're after here. This is pretty much usable in its state like it is. I've separated it from the inner pithy part of the stalk. So if you were doing tree bark, you'd actually be separating the outer bark from the cambium layer, and then you're using the cambium layer. You want to try to get it off in as long as sheets as possible. You see the thread-like nature of this? This is perfect. This is what you're after. So if you don't know the type of plant that you're dealing with, you know, as long as you understand the properties of it, that's really all that matters. You know, I don't know what this plant is, but it's similar to, you know, milkweed that I've used. So let me try it. And then you could try a small sample and see how strong the cordage is. Now I'm bending the bark over my finger right now, and you see once you get it started, it goes fairly decently. You want to get as long a strips as possible. You can work with shorter stuff, it just makes it a lot harder. Now I want to show you this one in particular here. Here's another one that came off, but when I start rolling it, I see right here there's still some of the inner stalk of the plant. I want to get that off. That's going to create an inconsistency when I twist my cordage, and that's usually what causes your weak spot. Okay, so that's maybe a 30-inch piece right there. That's pretty nice. You want to try to keep it all the same width if you're able to. You know, if you're really short on material, you may not have that advantage. But we have that advantage right now, so I'm only going after strips that are approximately the same width. If I had a ton of variations, you know, I could just sort them together into lots and make different diameter cordages for different strengths and different purposes. Or I could bundle them together and put two strips of thin next to one strip of thick. Now that's probably more realistic. You know, this is like a 9-inch piece, 9-10-inch piece. The 30-inch strips are harder to come by. This here is a little more typical in the winter. This is a dead stalk, completely dead. So I'm just crushing it real quick with my hands. So I'm taking a round stalk and I'm flattening it out. Then if I can, I try to split it in half down the middle like this. Okay, there we go. Now in this case, when it gets in this state, the inner pith of the plant's usually hardened, so it comes apart a little bit easier. But if you let it go too long, then the outer part of the plant that you're actually trying to use gets too dry, and you don't get those nice long strips. Okay. There we go. I'm going to keep this strip going as long as I can, even if I lose my initial thickness. Okay. About 18 inches there. So this is ideal here. Some of this stuff's too old, a little too far gone, and it's just cracking on me. That's worthless to me right now. The green, as it's still green, but it seems like the sap has dried up. That's pretty good and strong stuff. But this age here, approximately, it's brown, but not too far brown yet. That's just coming apart effortlessly. So this would be just like harvesting any other crop. You know, you can harvest it too early, you can harvest it too late, or you can get it just right. And this seems to be what's just right. Starting to lose it. Okay. So that's about a 20, maybe 28-inch long piece. The width is what I really like about this one. So now I can fold it up and start with a fairly thick piece, or I can separate it like it's already separated down here and start with smaller cordage. This piece is probably maybe 3/8 wide, maybe 7/16, and it tapers down to maybe a heavy quarter. So this is a decent piece to start with. It's about 30 inches long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my center point. Okay, so both ends are approximately level. So this is about halfway. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to offset that. So now I've got one end of the same piece here. I've got one end about 6 inches shorter than the other, and that's going to give me a place to put my first splice. So I'm going to hold this together. Again, 1 inch, or one end about 6 inches shorter than the other. Okay, and now this is where that folds into half at. Okay, so get all these little fibers out of my way, and with my right hand I'm going to twist away from myself. With my left hand I'm going to twist towards myself. Alright, so I'm going to start to twist and twist and twist. And right there, it doubles up on itself. That's the start of your line. Okay? Right there. So I'm going to pinch that in my fingers, my left hand, and I will never let this go now. So I have a top and a bottom. Okay, the top strand, I roll it away from me and twist it back towards me. Now the one I just twisted is on the bottom, and I've got a fresh one on top. So I'm going to twist it away from me and then turn it to the bottom. So my motion is away from me and then twist the two strands together back towards myself. Okay? Twisting away from me and then twisting my hand. Okay? So now the one that was in my pinch between my forefinger and thumb is on the bottom. So twist away, roll backwards. Twist away, roll backwards. Okay, so this motion right here ends up with cordage that looks similar to that. It would look just like that if you did it like I showed you. Okay, so as long as I've got a hold of this for right now, no knots required to keep it from unraveling. You know, if I need to add more material, I can do that on the fly. But I'm going to twist away, away and back, away and back, away, grab the bottom piece with my fingers and bring it to the top. Take the top one, twist it away from myself, grab the fresh one on the bottom with my other two fingers, bring it to the top. So here's an over-the-shoulder view of what I'm doing. Okay, you can see this is my top. Now once this is established, I can let this go and it's not going to unravel. But I'm going to hold it, twist the top one away, grab the bottom with my middle finger and my ring finger, rotate my hand. Okay, so we got one that's kind of green, one that's kind of brown. So the top one's the green one now. I'm going to roll it away, pinch the brown one, rotate. Roll the brown one away, pinch the green one, rotate. Roll, rotate. And once you get this down, you can fly with this. This is really a pretty easy skill to learn. Main thing is you got to have good material to work with. Consistency and neatness matter with this. So you want to see this whole line, all one thickness, and it should look like you actually crafted it, not just twisted a bunch of weeds together. Okay, right now I'm getting a little thin. This green one's a little thin now. That's going to cause me a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as a splice point now. This is half the diameter now of my next one over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my next one, So I got one end's thicker and the other end is thinner. So I'm going to start on the thinner end because it's going to be a splice. And I'm going to come down, well, I'll come down about 3 or 4 inches. So I'm going to put the 3 or 4 inch piece onto my thicker end, and then the longer full length piece, which in this case is about 24 inches, I'm going to carry that out on the skinnier side. Alright, so now I'm holding these together for right now. Nothing's holding them but me. And I'm going to twist these two together just like they were one. Make sure you don't get anything tangled up. You know, when you get to some of this thicker bark, you might be able to, might take you 2 times to roll it away from you. Just make sure you keep it a nice tight roll. And see, here's our ends now. These are our original ends, so now we've just extended this end, you know, about 5 inches. This end got extended about another 18 inches. So anytime you run out of material, that's how you're going to lay a splice in. So now you understand why having longer pieces is kind of important, because that lets you have a longer length of cord without a splice in it. And a splice is a natural failure point. It doesn't have to be, but it's definitely, the possibility is there. Okay. And then here's our splice integrated into the line. You can see it gets a little thicker right here, but for the most part it's fairly consistent. That's what you're after. Okay, now I'm running out of cordage here on this side, so I'm not going to twist it all the way up to where I have no option. I'm going to stop about 4 fingers ahead. Okay, and this one, like I said, this one's a full length still. I'm going to get another piece of cordage here. This is another piece of bark. I'm sorry, another piece of milkweed. Now I'm going to lay about a 4-inch piece onto my long end, and then the remainder is going to go onto my short end. So now I'm making this short end about 12 inches long. Okay, so I'm going to hold that into place. Getting this started sometimes requires a couple twists, because now you're working with multiple strands. Okay, as long as you keep your hands on this, it doesn't get tangled up. You just have to keep your tails from twisting. Okay. Okay, a few more twists and I'll be completely off the original green milkweed. Okay, now we're just onto the older brown. Not that it matters, it's just shows you how far we're progressing with this. Okay, so I'm going to lift my thumb. That'll show you where we're at. And in this little bit amount of time, we have maybe 16 inches of cordage wrapped up. I'm getting a little thin here, so I'm going to bulk up this side. So I'm going to lay two pieces of this against the green on the other side. So I got about 4 inches of my fresh one coming in here. And then it's going to double up basically because I don't like the diameter I'm ending up with. And then you can taper this up or down depending on what you're doing with it. If you were trying to make a fishing line or something, you know, down it towards your hook end, you know, if you had a gouge hook or something on this, you could taper that down. You know, if you needed some heavy duty cordage for something, you know, you just make it as thick as you need it. Just keep twisting and keep your tail straight, and it'll all work itself out. But the basic action of twisting it away, pinching it, and rolling it. Twist it away, pinch the bottom, roll it to the top. That never changes. My tension on my hand with each roll, each twist is about the same. You know, obviously this is an organic material, so there's a huge variance of what I'm working with, let alone what you're going to be working with. So it's not going to be perfect, but you just adapt. And like you saw me do, you know, sometimes you have to, you know, make splices, or sometimes you might have to thin a piece out, you know, if it's too thick. But that's, you know, maybe a 30-inch piece right now. Almost as long as my arm. So the diameter of this, like I just showed you, you know, this is a little bit smaller in paracord. So being realistic with the size of this, this is probably well suited to make like a lanyard. You know, you can see it just slips right into the eye of this knife here. You can do any old knot you want to. I'm going to do a square knot. There we go. And you can see, I mean, I'm pulling on that thing pretty well. So that kind of is a, you know, on the fly, say it was a wintertime situation, your hands were cold, you couldn't quite access your knife well, you know, a lanyard like this would help you withdraw it from the sheath. Or, you know, say you were, you know, over water or something, and you did not have a lanyard for your knife, and you wanted to use one for that situation, you know, that's perfect. You can just twist up a real quick cord for it. You know, you can make this hold as much weight as you want to, dictated by the thickness of the material that you're dealing with. This should hold, I would say, 20 pounds easy. I mean, I'm pulling on that. It's not breaking at all. Yeah, I've got this sneaked around this tripod here. I mean, it's going to break. It's just a question of how much strength it takes. I'm going to put a stick around it because it's already it's such a small diameter. It's kind of hard for me to really bear on this. So we'll see if it breaks at the knot or if it fails at a splice. See, and there's our failure. It did not fail at the knot. And there's nothing wrong with this piece of cordage. I mean, if it's broke shorter than what I needed to, and I've got more material, I can just keep twisting from this point. But it did take I can't break that just barehanded. So cordage making is a critical skill. To build anything in the woods, you're going to be lashing stuff. So you've got to know your knots. You've got to conserve your cordage that you do have with you, but you're going to run out, and you do need to manufacture cordage from the wild. So I just showed you something to look for today. You know, the milkweed pods sticking up, that's a great source. You can see the bottom of the leaves flapping in the wind of a green plant that I was able to show you. Possibly later in the year I can get into the woods and get some tulip poplar, show you how to process that bark down. But the main thing is the properties. Any type of fiber, plant fiber that you see, you know, you pick it up, you try to pull it. Does it have any strength whatsoever? Does it separate into fibers? If it does, it's golden. Go ahead and give it a try. Some just work better than others. That's all it is. So get out in the woods and practice these skills. This is Jamie Boggs with Burning River Bushcraft. See you next time.